Hello, it is 1 p.m. in Damascus. It's 4 p.m. in the Maldives. I'm Monita Rajpal. You're watching CNN, the world's news leader. This is World One, live from London. People in the besieged Syrian city of Homs are telling CNN it's coming under fresh bombardment from government forces. You're looking at pictures of the skyline filmed in the past few hours. Every now and then, you can see black smoke and hear pounding sounds, apparently of heavy rocket fire. CNN is trying to find out what is actually going on in the city. On Lavrov's visit just a few days ago, Russia vetoed a resolution at the United Nations Security Council condemning the Syrian regime and its violence against civilians. CNN's Arwa Damon joins us now live from the Lebanese capital, Beirut, and Phil Black is in Moscow. Let's begin with you, Arwa, and what is actually happening and what we think, what we know, according to reports, is happening in Homs.
Well, activists and residents of that flashpoint city continue to describe what they're calling to be a sheer
Arwa, thank you. Arwa Damon there in Beirut. And of course, as we were saying, all eyes are on the Russian Foreign Minister, Sergei Lavrov, as he is in Damascus right now. A lot of pressure on him. Phil Black joins us now from Moscow. I guess many people are asking if Russia actually has the influence, Phil, to stop the violence in Syria.
Well, Monita, up until this point, Russia has not been able to exercise any significant interest in dealing.
It's also a very short trip, too. We expect him to leave a little bit later on today. There, Phil Black in Moscow, thank you so much. We want to see what newspapers have to say about all of this. We begin with Hong Kong's South China Morning Post. It has this headline: after Libya, no vote is no surprise. It's an opinion piece that says China and Russia went along with the rest of the Security Council on Libya and then had to watch as Western governments overstepped their mandate to protect civilians. Is it surprising they are not so pliant this time? In Turkey, today's Zaman says Arab League got it all wrong. According to this opinion column, a civil war in Syria is likely to cause much trouble for Turkey. Clearly, it would be to the benefit of all players in the region if Russia finds a formula that can secure its own strategic position. And finally, in the Wall Street Journal's Asia edition, there's this headline: Obama falls into a UN trap. It's an editorial that goes on to say Americans are preoccupied by domestic issues, but Syria is a good test of President Obama's foreign policy. With each week of Mr. Assad's brutality, the cost in lives and the odds of civil war will continue to rise unless Mr. Obama does more than bow before the false moral authority of the United Nations. We're watching World One live from London. Just ahead, glimpses of nature's fury from extreme flooding in eastern Australia. Although authorities are warning the 2,000 people who have been forced out of their homes to stay away until the danger is past. Journalist Renee Henry reports now from Queensland.
A 4-kilometre levee built in 3 days and being put to the test.
Journalist Renee Henry reporting there. Do stay with CNN for more updates on the flooding in eastern Australia. Well, there's more snow and bitter cold hitting eastern Europe. The icy cold is in its second week and has already been blamed for more than 300 deaths. Bosnia has been hit by especially heavy snow. The military is using helicopters to get supplies into isolated areas. Now on the weather situation and what's forecast for the next 24 hours and the days ahead. Let's go to Mari Ramos at the World Weather Center with that. Mari.
Monita, those pictures are incredible of that icebreaker there on the Danube River. It's really amazing how long this cold has lasted, and I think...
Mari, thank you very much. Then, as you've been reporting, that there's no reprieve in sight now, especially within Eastern Europe, and we've been talking about Ukraine that has been hardest hit, with some 130 people have been killed by the cold weather. Matthew Chance is in the Ukrainian capital of Kiev. He joins us now with more on the situation there. Matthew.
Monita, first of all, it's absolutely freezing out here in the Ukrainian...
I guess some people are wondering what's different about this year than it has been in the past, where Eastern Europe is supposedly used to cold weather temperatures, or is it just because of the fact that it does happen on a yearly basis, that it does put a strain on resources that are already there?
Well, I think both of those issues are true, although I think you have to remember that the average temperatures...
Good point there, Matthew. Thank you very much. Matthew Chance there reporting to us from Kiev. Stay warm. This is World One, live from London. Back on the streets of Greece, another general strike is sweeping the country, and the EU is piling on the pressure. Athens needs more money soon to avoid a disorderly default. Jim Bolton is here with some insight on what the politicians need to achieve as this deadline is looming. Jim.
Yeah, we've been saying this a lot, haven't we, in the last couple of months. What's different now is that Greece needs to pay back a lot of money on March 20th, and it's going to take...
Jim Bolton there putting it in perspective for us. Well, from one strike to another, we'll be talking about Air France in a bit, but we want to see the stock markets and how they've been coping with the uncertainty over Greece and Europe. Stocks mostly lower. These are cautious times for investors, UBS and planning on flying Air France in the next few days. If you're at an airport waiting for your flight, you might want to postpone traveling until after Friday. That's what France's flag carrier is telling its passengers. Air France expects to cancel nearly half of all its long-haul flights today. Is in the crosshairs of a brutal government onslaught. More than 60 people were killed there on Monday. Again, according to an activist, some neighborhoods have been pounded relentlessly. And while the Syrian government says it is pursuing armed terrorist gangs, children seem to be among those caught in the assault. CNN's Ara Damon reports now from neighboring Beirut.
Damon, CNN, Beirut.
And CNN, of course, will continue to bring you the very latest developments out of Syria as we get it, and of course out of the meeting between the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and the President of Syria, Bashar al-Assad. The President of the Maldives, Mohammed Nasheed, has stepped down amidst turmoil in the island nation. Mr. Nasheed announced his resignation in a television broadcast after a mutiny by the police last month. Get more now on this developing story. Let's go to CNN's Sarah Seidner, who joins us live from New Delhi. And Sarah, first of all, do we know who is in control right now in the Maldives?
Yes, we do, because we were watching television at least.
For that, Sarah Seidner reporting to us there from New Delhi. Well, to a lot of us, the Maldives are known as a holiday destination. And little more, the country consists of almost 1,200 small coral islands and sandbanks in the Indian Ocean. It's one of the poorest countries in the world, with an economy heavily dependent on fishing, tourism, and boat building. The race for the presidential nomination is back on today in the United States. Colorado, Minnesota, and Missouri are taking to the polls. And after a clean sweep in Nevada, there's little doubt that Mitt Romney will have a fight on his hands. As Jim Acosta reports, caucuses this week could well go down to the wire. Take a look at what's trending on social media right now, shall we? At number 3, it's Safer Internet Day, a topic that's important for all of us web users, especially those of you that are a bit younger. The event is organized by InSafe, a European body that's partly funded by the EU. There are plenty of resources available on the web. We've linked to some of them for you on our Facebook page, so do check that out. And number 2, Charles Dickens. Fans of one of the world's most loved authors are celebrating his life 200 years after his birth. This is today's Google Doodle, a nod to the English author's most memorable characters. Across London, there will be a number of special events to mark the day, and of course we'll have a little bit more on that a little bit later on here on W1. And at number 1, it's party time for the New York Giants. The Super Bowl champions will parade through the streets of New York today. The city's mayor, Michael Bloomberg, says up to 1 million people may show up for the celebrations. This story's been popular online for days, and Sunday's Super Bowl set the record for the highest number of tweets sent during a sporting event. That number, 4,064 tweets per second in the game's final moments. Wow. Still ahead here on World One. He's number 1 in the men's tennis world, but could Novak Djokovic take top honors at the Laureus Sports Awards? Let's get the day's top sports stories now. And after more than a month on the sidelines, Luis Suarez has returned to action in English football's Premier League, and Alex Thomas is here to tell us how it's all going down.
Well, Liverpool's Premier League clash at home to Tottenham was Luis Suarez's first match since December the 26th last year.
Maybe a little bit comfortable. You're going to be in there for a little while. You want it to be a little bit comfortable. Now, a lot of people are asking me, I've got some messages there about why I laughed out loud. They heard me laugh out loud on camera. It's because you referred to Pedro as a perfect physical specimen. Now, I'm sure he is in your eyes.
So the question remains, why did you laugh out loud?
I just thought that was funny.
Pedro, if you're watching, she doesn't mean it. He won't be watching. He was working so long. 9 days in a row, the man's done.
He was standing next to Novak Djokovic. There you go.
Well, that's true. Next to Novak, all of us don't look like a prime physical specimen.
That's true. Thank you very much for that, Alex. You're pretty perfect for us. You're watching World One live from London. This is World One live from London. He's been dead for well over a century, but the characters he created are still very much alive. Today, Britain celebrates 200 years since the birth of Charles Dickens, the creator of Oliver Twist, Ebenezer Scrooge, and Little Nell. Let's get that straight, shall we? His stories have kept generations of readers gripped, but they were more than just entertainment. Books like A Christmas Christmas Carol and Great Expectations forced the public in Victorian times to face up to grinding poverty and injustice all around them. Well, the heir to the British throne has been paying his respects to Dickens. Prince Charles visited the writer's home just a short time ago and is attending a memorial service at Westminster Abbey. Natika Schubert is there. She joins us now live. And Natika, I remember one of the very first books that I read, adult grown-up books that I should say, as a child was Oliver Twist, and still my all-time favorite.
It is. It's one of many, and that is actually one of the ones that's really well known around the world because of the movie, the musical. There's so many different ways that Charles Dickens' work has really become known, not just here, of course, in the UK, but around the world.
Of course, we can never underestimate enough just how much Dickens has done. I mean, even to this day, for not just London culture, but the history of London as well.
Well, exactly. He's synonymous with the sort of these incredible descriptions of Victorian era.
Thank you very much for that, Natika Schubert there at Westminster Abbey. Well, many of Dickens' characters were so memorable, their names have reached beyond the pages of his novels and found their way into the English language. One of them, Scrooge, has become another word for miser after the mean-spirited protagonist of a Christmas Carol. You probably remember that. Then we've got Fagin, started out as a character in Oliver Twist. Now his name means one who trains others, especially children, in crime. And then we've got Gradgrind as someone who is only interested in cold, hard facts after Thomas Gradgrind, the mill owner in Hard Times. And it doesn't end there. Dickens' own name has given us the term Dickensian, a shorthand for the kind, deprived, and impoverished living conditions he campaigned against. You're watching World One live from London. I'm Monita Rajpal. Thank you for joining us. We'll have the headlines after this.